Hey there, welcome to the ArtMaster channel. Today we'll be learning about the differences of economic materials and professional materials. It is a subject that has been asked quite a lot, so I hope that you like it. Well, let's begin by showing you the materials. These are the Alpino brand. These are what we consider a low-cost material. They come in 24 units. Please keep in mind that this is an old footage, so the prices on screen, they are not the ones that you're looking for, but if you check the links below in the description box, you'll have an updated list with their current prices. Okay, moving on, those were the economic pencils that we're going to use on this video, and now we're going to show you the professional ones. These are the Prismacolor pencils. These are professional. Just to keep in mind, one pencil, it's worth at least 4 times more than the previous ones that I've shown you. Now, is this price difference actually worth it? Well, there's only one way to find out. To do this, I prepared 2 equal drawings. Well, at least I try to make them look as equal as possible, and we'll paint one with the economic pencils and one with the professional pencils. Well, we'll begin with the Alpino brand, and as you can see, I'm gonna have to be limiting the amount of colors that I'm gonna use because I could only find box sets of 24 pencils. I went to different stores, but that was the largest one that I could use. By now you should know that I only use Prismacolor pencils for my drawings, so I'm also gonna have to limit those pencils as well because I'm going to use the exact same amount of colors on both drawings. Okay, so for the rest of the video, I'm going to tell you about my impressions of these Alpino colors, and I'll start by the bad ones, the negative ones, and then I'll move to the positive ones, okay? Here we go. The first thing that I can point out as a negative is that when I grab the pencils, I notice they're quite flimsy. The wood that protects them, it's not very good, so they might break when falling onto the floor or even when sharpening them. And that is just, it doesn't feel right to the hand. The second negative thing that I can say is the one that I already said. I think that there's just not enough colors in their packaging. And I went to several different places and I could only find a 24 color box set. A third negative trait would be that it takes a lot of pressure for the color to actually stick to the page, to take to the page. I have to really press on to actually have some sort of contrast of those colors. And I think that is a very negative trait. And as a last negative trait, I would say that even if you apply several layers of the colors, they still don't cover the whole area of what you're coloring. There's going to be some white parts that are going to still be there after you apply a couple of layers. And as a positive, I gotta say, even with all of the bad things that I just said about this, the end result is quite good. For the price tag and everything, could be worse. And I think that if only I had more colors to work with, I could have made it look even better. Okay, we just seen the low cost variation and left a quite decent outcome. Now the question remains, will the prime color pencils, the professional pencils, actually make that much of a difference? Well, there's no other way to finding out than just start to paint. There we go, repainting Naruto. As you can see, we're going to be using the same shades of colors, and right off the bat, we can see that there's already a difference with the shade of this yellow. I'm going to go over the main differences in these pencils, but first we'll begin with the bad qualities of the Prismacolor ones, okay? So, the first one would be the price tag. Actually, I think that they could decrease it a little bit, but you know, it's a brand, it's well known, so they're probably going to stick to it or even get higher along the times. The second disadvantage would be that, well, I would very much prefer to have a different case, not a plastic one or a metallic one, but a wooden one. Now let's move to the actual advantages of the professional pencils. The first advantage I would say is that these pencils are way more creamier than the last ones. So you don't even have to apply that much pressure to have a very bright shade of the colors that you're using. You might think this is not that much of a difference, right? Well, if you're gonna be doing a piece that's gonna take you about 7 hours, trust me, it really helps not having to apply so much pressure. The second advantage is that these pencils, they do not leave any white parts. You can actually cover the whole area quite nicely and neatly. They also mix amazingly well amongst each other, so you're gonna have very different shades very quickly. And also, they're quite robust, so they're gonna last a long time. Another thing to note is that for the longest time that I've used them, I rarely broke a pencil tip with these ones. And also, the white color The white color from Alpino barely does anything. On the other hand, the Prismacolor white shade, it's amazing. You can actually apply it and you can see the color white. It actually works. And I know, some of you may be thinking, but why would I want the color white for a pencil? And trust me, the white pencils, they have an infinite amount of applications. So yeah, Prismacolor pencils are amazing. Well, here's the end result, and I gotta say, they both look quite good. And I even have to go ahead and say, I think I like the plating effect more on the low-cost end than the premium end, but you can definitely see there's way more contrast on the Prismacolor side, and it looks better overall. As a note, I've been using the same type of paper for both drawings. In a close-up look, we can actually see way better the definitions of the colors, and I gotta say, yeah, Prismacolor wins right out of the gate, but if we're considering what they can do, the Alpino pencils, with their price tag, well, that's a win on their side. But who do you think wins having the price tag and quality spectrum? Leave it in the comments below and I'll sure to give it a read. Now, let's move to the next experiment. As you can see, these are the typical markers that you see in like bazaar stores or, things that we used as kids. These are the brand Carioca and these are the lowest price I could find. These came in a bag of 30. And that's the most amount that I could find in several different stores. And you might be wondering, well, ArtMaster, who's actually going to be the competitor for these low-cost markers? Well, as you might be wondering, yes, they're going to be alcohol-based markers, and we're going to be using different brands, even they might be similar amongst themselves. But just as a point of reference, these can actually outcost the low-cost ones by 40 more times. Yes. It's crazy. Now, will that price tag difference actually be worth it? Well, let's find out. To be honest, it took me a while to find a drawing that had the right amount of colors for that 30 pack, but in the end, this will do. Let's go! The problem was that these markers, they have a very aggressive shade to their colors, so finding a drawing that actually had them was quite difficult. I tried to adapt them the best I can, but to be honest, I don't think the end result is gonna be the best one. Right out the bat, I opened one of these, I opened the cap, and it looked dated, like it didn't have a long time to go. And as you can see, they don't leave a uniform finish. Don't even try and applying a second layer over the same spot because the tip of the marker will start like leaving off this sort of lint, and it's gonna leave just a nefarious outcome. As you can see, they don't have that light shade of skin that I was looking for, so it just looks off. Don't even try and mix them together because the amalgamation of their colors just leaves a weird paste that doesn't look good, so just don't even try. I would love them to have like two different sort of tips, but they don't, and for the price tag, I don't think that I can ask too much of them. And on the good side of these markers, it's the price, they're cheap, but that's about it. When it comes to the color of the hair, you're seeing that I'm using like a more greenish tint to the blue. It's because I didn't have the right color on the 30 pack, but don't worry, on the professional side of things, I will use the same shades that I use for the Naruto drawing. Well, here's my janky looking Vegeta, but don't worry, we'll be moving to the professional colors right about now. Well, I'm going to be using different brands to complete this coloring process, and they're going to be Copic, Pro Marker, and Fine Color. We can already see that there's going to be a huge difference, but still, let's begin with the negative aspects of these brands. It's the price. They're super expensive. I bought 120 Copic markers in 2017, and those were about $350. So yeah, they're super expensive. So I would recommend to only buy these sort of markers per unit, and only the ones that you're actually needing. But that's up to the buyer. And the second disadvantage would be that for their price, their ink or their color, they don't last very long. You're gonna have to be recharging them quite often, and that could also be very expensive. Okay, moving on to the brighter aspects of things. Yeah, these things are just, there's no comparison. You can see it on screen. The color looks amazing. You have different tips that you can use for these markers, so you have like more flexibility in what you're trying to achieve. They blend together well, they mix together well. The end result is super smooth. There's a wide variety of shades, so you can specifically do what you have in mind. There's just no competition when it comes to the quality of what they can do. As a reminder, I use the same type of paper for both drawings. Well, let's see the results. Do you think that the difference is going to be huge or not? Well, there they are. Vegeta on the left, he looks like he has a severe sunburn. He fell asleep while on the sun for 6 hours. And there's just no comparison, guys. They're like night and day. To be honest, I would recommend spending even 40 more times the price to have a drawing that looks like the Vegeta on the right, for sure. And I don't mean to throw any shade. As a kid, I used the Carioca markers all the time, and I had a blast. But if you're actually thinking to, be more serious, more professional, just don't. Just don't. So yeah, even if they cost like a full eye out of your head, I do recommend the alcohol-based markers for sure. Okay, so in conclusion, when it comes to the pencils, of course, Prismacolor ones, they are 100% recommended. Yes, they are expensive, but they're gonna have a beautiful look to your drawings. They're gonna make them pop and look pristine. So yeah, if you can afford them, if you're gonna start actually drawing for serious, totally go for them. 100% recommended. For the Alpino or Alpino ones, or just the low-cost brands that you can find, well, they are better than expected, to be honest. If you're just a beginner, then yeah, sure, go for them. They're gonna do you just fine. But if you're looking to become more professional, then yeah, please move up to the Prismacolor ones for sure. Now, when it comes to the markers, okay, the Copic ones, Copic ones, Pro markers, fine colors, they're highly recommended. They are pristine. I know they're super expensive, but if you really want to get into this seriously, I recommend start saving money and look for what you want to buy, or start buying them by unit and use the ones that you need instead of having all of those colors that you may not use right away. But yeah, totally 100% recommendable. And to be honest, the Carioca ones or just low-cost ones, I cannot recommend them. If you're gonna be serious about this, I do not recommend them. They don't look good. They can mess up your beautiful drawing, so I would stay away from them for sure. If you're on the younger side of things and you don't have money of your own, and that's totally fine, I would totally suggest recommending and suggesting to your parents, guardians, tutors to gift you alcohol-based markers for a birthday or Christmas or holidays or whatever that you might celebrate if you want to really get into professional drawing. As always, I'm going to leave everything in the description box below, and please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and a subscription. This end, it really does help me out a lot, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. See you all on the next one. Goodbye.